Hey guys, this is Mark Joyner. I am doing a live here where you can ask me anything, and I'm testing some new stuff out. I've got a Restream chat open here, so if you guys are going to respond to me on any of the channels that this is broadcasting on, I could see all your messages. Hey, I already see one, so we know we're working. Barry, good to see you, buddy. Barry, so far, you're the only one I know who is here. I don't know who else is here. Tell me how the sound is, man. Tell me how everything looks. Tell me if you can see this. All right, yeah. Okay, I got a few people coming in here. Morning, everybody. All right. Okay, so we can see things. Apparently you guys can hear things. How is the sound? I'm doing a different sound right now. I'm doing a wireless so I can come talk on the chalkboard and zoom in like this and not have the sound. Okay, nice and clear. Good, thank you. All right, beautiful. All right, so right out of the gate, stuff is actually working. How about this? Okay, guys, I want you all to ask me anything. Thomas Engbers asked me, how about training at 11:30? Yes, brother, we will train at 11:30. That's perfect. I'll see you at 11:30, bro. All right. The great Thomas Engbers, who, by the way, I don't know if he's launched this yet, but Thomas has been gearing up to release something really, really profound. So if you guys go to Thomas Engbers' Facebook page, you guys can see. Well, I don't know if you can see it yet. Thomas, let me know if it's up and live. But if he hasn't yet, he will be. It's up. Okay, so he will be posting has posted a profoundly interesting video about something absolutely extraordinary that he did with one of his clients. So I don't know if you guys know, but Thomas is a good friend of mine and my training partner. He also happens to be a guy who has trained a lot of MMA fighters. Famously, a lot of Engbers fighters come to him because they have really, really bad, biomechanics, or they've injured themselves. And there is a person who, there's a funny question I'll get to here in a moment. Fighters who have injured themselves, and there's a guy who injured himself extremely intensely that Thomas rehabbed. In spectacular fashion. So you guys need to see that video on Thomas's page. Resh, hey, what's up, brother? Yeah, he said the injury fixture. That's right. That's right. Yeah, in fact, Resh spent a little bit of time with Thomas and me and a bunch of other awesome folks, and we were doing a mastermind here in Phuket. Just, it seems like it hasn't been that long ago, but I think it's been several weeks now. Beautiful. So Scott Stew says, best haejanguk for soju hangover. Haejanguk is a Korean soup that you drink, and haejang is hangover. Haejanguk is like a stew that you eat for hangovers. So if you had too much soju, a lot of the Koreans will have this haejanguk. I don't know if that's the kind of thing you come to Mark Joyner to learn, but that's what you're learning today, it seems. Great question, Scott. Scott is one of my old Intel community brothers, and a really, really brilliant guy who is still active in the IC and doing some really, really important stuff. So if you guys see him commenting on my Facebook at any time, consider that coming from a rather authoritative source. In fact, you guys will see a lot of people like that, people that used to work with me in the intelligence community, in the military, people who have good inside information on what's going on in the government across the whole political spectrum. Not all of these guys share the same political views, but you will see a lot of insider comments on my personal Facebook from guys who are legitimately in that world. And I apologize for the camera zooming in and out. It's probably because I'm dancing around here. My Logitech Brio is a little confused, but we can fix that with the hand, the magic hand. It's my Jedi mind trick. Focus, Logitech Brio. See my Jedi powers? All right. Christiana says, I need to create $25,000 in 30 days. Suggestions. Christiana, that is a fantastic question. Probably the best way to do it would be to get a whole bunch of people together to support you in the rollout of a product. Okay, so if you've ever seen the bestseller blueprint, one of the products we offer at Simpleology, that is basically a blueprint for you to get your book to become a #1 bestseller, but you can use the same tactics and strategies to launch a product in spectacular fashion. This has been Resh says, talk to the hand, that's right. If you guys, a lot of people have talked about how to launch products on the internet. It's more or less the same advice from a lot of people, but the short answer is this. When you have a large number of people who are promoting your product, several interesting dynamics come into play. One of them is that you have the combined social proof of a lot of people corroborating your story, right? So if you have one person saying something, that's one thing, but if people see it from a whole bunch of different sources, they might go, ooh, hey, what Christiana is releasing must be really, really important because all these people are talking about it. This is especially more effective if they are authority figures or people that the people watching them trust. And if one guy is communicating it to his audience, one would assume that his audience likes and trusts him, otherwise they wouldn't be in his audience. It's going to be the majority of people, otherwise they're going to unsubscribe, right? But if you see that from a number of sources, it starts to really get people's attention. The other thing that you want to do, Christiana, is you want to make sure that there is some kind of a time limit to the offer that you make. All right, so the time limits are absolutely magic in marketing because it gets people to overcome their inertia. If somebody thinks that they can come back and get X from you at any time, they can go, well, what Christiana is offering looks good, but I can just come back 6 months from now. And if they can come back 6 months from now, they're never going to come back often. So using a time limit in conjunction with your promotion is going to help you get a better result. Something else that you want to do to sort of add a little bit more juice to those two tactics that you just learned about is to put on some, here's more talk to the hand to get this back in focus. There it goes. I got to figure out how to make this a little smoother. Anyway, another thing you can do there to add on to that is to add some time limited bonuses, things that will only be given away one time during the course of the launch. And then people are like, they're doubly experiencing FOMO. It's like, man, if I don't respond now, I'm not going to get this special price. I'm not going to get this special bonus. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get that. I'd better do it now or I'm going to miss out on a time limit event. Now, all of this is assuming, Christiana, that you have a quality product that is communicated in a powerful way. And probably the two best resources I know of, aside from some of my own stuff, I'll plug some of my own stuff here too, but I mean, I talk about this in The Irresistible Offer, the book, and you can also read Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. That is probably the most important book on copywriting ever written. I think more important than anything David Ogilvy or any of the other guys have ever written, because he gives you a process of analysis that allows you to understand the market forces that you need to play with to be able to get a powerful result in your marketing. Because if you don't have a big idea, a big message that is going to get that point across, people are not going to pay attention to you. If you have a time limit on something that's not interesting, what's the point of having the time limit? So I can tell you all these tactical things, but if you don't have that base messaging absolutely together, then it's not going to work. It might work a little bit, but it's not going to work anywhere nearly as effectively as it would if you were to have really, really powerful messaging. So what you need to understand, Christiana, first off, is understanding the market forces that you're dealing with. That's a fancy way of saying the audience and what's going on in the mind of that audience. What do they want? What Eugene Schwartz says, he says you need to understand their values, their identifications, that's how they see themselves, and their beliefs. And then when you understand that, when you understand those market forces, that big idea is a connector in between the market forces. Here, I can diagram this out. Here are the market forces Here's your product. Well, the big idea is the connector between those things. Now that's usually communicated in the form of a lead. Now the spirit, it just so happens I have this on my desk here because I was just loaning this to my roommate Mitch Miller. He's a fantastic copywriter. He had never read this book, and he literally just consumed this in a day. It's called Great Leads. And this book will show you how to communicate that big idea in the most effective way. Now I'm glossing over a very, very complex thing here. This is why you need to read both of those books, Breakthrough Advertising and Great Leads. Okay, so Christiana, that's a very brief answer for you to a complex question. But bestseller blueprint, irresistible offer, great leads, breakthrough advertising. Those are the four things you really need. The fifth thing you really need is Simpleology, so you can light a fire under your ass and get it done. Because if you got to make 25K in 30 days, you better move, sister. You better move fast. You better get super clear about what it is that you want to do. And I'll tell you what, when I had the mastermind here last month, was it last month or was it 2 months ago? Man, time flies so fast. I had these guys going through and doing what I call fire missions. This is something that you learn inside Fire Mission Academy. It's Simpleology. And I basically told them, I said, look, you've got 30 minutes to complete one of the 4 different types of fire missions. And I had them rotate through that every day. And what guys were finding was that in a 2-hour time span, they were able to get more done than what they normally get done sometimes in weeks. Why? Because the system is designed to break over the inertia, get you off your ass and get you moving. This is the problem with most of us. We're stuck because we're on Facebook all the damn time. We're distracted all the damn time. We're not clear about where we want to go. The protocols that we come up with inside Simpleology are designed to break through that inertia, to get you to overcome the hesitation and doubt that you have, so you can just boom, move like a laser straight toward what you want to accomplish. So Christiana, I hope that helps you a lot, and good luck on making your 25K. Okay, so Stuart Tan asks, when are you going to be back in Singapore? Good question, man. I don't want to travel anywhere right now. I got to be honest with you. I'm sick of traveling. I've actually hunkered down here pretty firmly in Phuket right now, and I'm enjoying that immensely. In fact, I even just, you guys can see it, upgraded my workspace here. When you guys saw me before doing the wake up videos, that was the blank wall that you saw behind me. Well, now I've got this nice chalkboard wallpaper here that allows me to write and to explain ideas, so it's gonna be a little bit more dynamic. Dude, I would love to see you as always, man. You're always welcome to come out here in Phuket, but I really don't feel like traveling that much these days. But Singapore's not that far, so I'm more likely to be in Singapore, KL, places like that where I don't have to travel too long. An hour seems to be my upper limit for my tolerance of flying these days. And I'll tell why don't I like to fly, guys? I'll tell you several reasons. One is it's a huge time suck. I mean, getting back and forth to the airport, even if I've got my laptop with me and I've got my mobile internet connection, I will try to be productive every step of the way while I'm on the plane, while I'm moving to the airport. But even still, it's a big disruption. It's a big, big disruption because you got to pack and you got to unpack. I mean, you got all this shit that just really burns up a lot of time. So I'm not super interested in doing that. And there is also a biological cost of traveling. Recently, someone I'm working on a project with told me, they said, that's a limiting belief of yours. Maybe so, but I haven't figured out how to overcome completely the biological cost of travel. So I want to communicate to you guys like this, virtually. I can communicate to more people, even though I make a stronger, deeper connection. Stuart says, awesome, I'll have a holiday in Phuket. Awesome, brother, you're welcome to come down anytime, as you know. And in fact, I would like for you to meet Clay Moffitt, another hypnotist NLP guy who's become very good friends with me recently. You guys will get along famously. Okay, let's see. Thanks for some of the kind words here, guys. Barry Page asked, how would you map out a monetization plan for a primarily low income beginner level audience? Okay, so are you talking, so Barry, just to get some clarification on this, are you talking about a guy who is starting a business that doesn't have a lot of money to get the business started, and you want a plan for him to go out there and start becoming profitable? If that is the case, then I have some answers for you, but I want clarification from you, Barry, if that is in fact the case. I don't know how much time delay or lag there is. Hopefully Barry is still around. Hopefully he didn't run away. All right, I'm gonna wait for Barry's reply. I'm gonna answer some more questions. Joe Addison, dear old friend of mine, says, if you think you're paranoid, does that mean you're actually out to get yourself? You know what? On some spiritual level, yes, probably, to a certain extent. Okay, Barry came in and said, yes, that's correct. Okay, so Barry, here's the first thing. If you're thinking about creating a product, is this for the purpose of you creating a product to teach people or for your own personal situation? I want to get that clarification too. I should have asked you that before, because that's a slightly different challenge here. Let's see here. Let's see if there are any other questions I can answer before Barry comes back and replies. Thank you guys for the comments on my fitness. As always, I appreciate that. You can Thomas Engberts is partially responsible for that, even though I was jacked and tan, as he likes to say, before I met Thomas. He has helped my biomechanics in some profoundly important ways. I also want to give some shout outs to some other guys. I can't make that comment without thanking some other people for, I've had a long journey of correcting very, very bad biomechanics throughout my life. Started out with Michelle Owen, who was a high-level Paul Chek instructor. She's the one who got me thinking about this stuff, introduced me to the work of the great Paul Chek. Then I met Greg Payne, who is a great, great instructor for world-class athletes, who is also a dear friend of mine. He trained me for about 2 years while I was in Auckland, New Zealand. He trains guys like the guys who do the coast-to-coast race. Coast-to-coast is something that the Ironman triathletes look at and go, that might be a little too hard for me. He trained the dude who won that, like, I think 6 times. Got to give a shout out to Greg too. And then also to Benjamin Barone, who was my trainer for a couple years off and on in the Philippines. Also a great biomechanist. But right now I happen to be working with Thomas, and Thomas is doing extraordinary things. So you got to check out what Thomas is doing. Especially with the video that he just posted, guys. It's an extraordinary story, absolutely extraordinary story. So Barry asks to teach people. All right, well, Barry, if you teach what I'm about to teach you, then you got to give credit. All right. So, but what I would tell people is, first off, I'm going to tell you, Barry, if you're targeting people that are low income, you got to ask yourself, is this the target audience that you want to have? And I'm saying this with the most compassion I can muster for you and for your audience, because being a guy who grew up in poverty and who has a soft spot for people in poverty, I like to communicate to people who are in tough situations and help them pull themselves out of that, right? I think it's a wonderful, miraculous thing, but you got to understand, by definition, they don't have a lot of money to spend on your products. So you're not going to make a lot of money teaching people with low incomes how to become successful in their business. Okay, that's really the key, man. That is really, really the key. Just be aware of that. Okay, so ask yourself if that's really the audience that you want to talk to. If it is, and believe me, I still do it too, man. I still have a soft spot for that, and I still teach these things. I'll teach you a little framework that I use, okay? So it's called the cash injection formula, okay? And what I just did in something called Cash Injection Boot Camp that I ran last year, I was teaching people this formula, and it is PMCFT, okay? So it's product, message, commerce, fulfillment, and traffic. If you have all 5 of these, that's all you need to make money. That's all you need to make money. And you don't need to invest money to make money. What you've got to invest is ingenuity and time. Ingenuity and time. Now the problem is, well, Barry, by the way, says, I'd say most of them do have jobs, but not necessarily online yet. Okay, they've got jobs, but how much money do they have, right? How much money do they have to invest? Let's assume they don't have any money to invest. Well, my roommate, Mitch, one of my roommates, Mitch and Mac, they own a company called Opposed Media. They have been doing a lot of wonderful free marketing on Facebook. So, Mitch and I, for example, we through free Facebook promotion, we didn't pay for any Facebook ads, we just used pure organic Facebook to do this, used a combination of one of Mitch's techniques with a technique that I invented sort of on the fly based on a lot of the viral marketing stuff I used to do years ago. Now, Mitch has perfected the art of creating offers on organic Facebook and turning those organic offers into a significant amount of money. So when these guys first invited me to move out, I told them, I said, look, one of the things that you got to do if I'm going to move out there and be at y'all's place is you got to upgrade your gym, because your gym's a fucking mess. All right, it's terrible. So we need to invest about $10,000 amongst the 3 of us into building a proper gym. I mean, let's do this right. And I said, but here's the thing. Let's not dip into our bank accounts. It's dumb. I don't like to dip into my bank account when I want to buy something. I like to just make the money out of thin air. Wouldn't that be nice if you could just manifest a money miracle out of thin air? So he said, okay, that's cool. I like that challenge. So we sat down over dinner and we started brainstorming stuff. And I said, well, first thing, let's use your organic Facebook techniques, but let's juice it up a little bit. And we kind of were going back and forth, and an idea flashed into my head. And this is a technique that Thomas just used to launch this video that Thomas launched today. Okay, I gave Thomas the exact same trick. Now, and what that trick was, this is just a slight tangent here, was we wrote some copy that was something like this. Hey, within a few days, we're going to reveal something powerful on this very Facebook post. But because I want so many people to see it, if you share it right now, I'm going to give you XYZ for free. Okay, now, when Mitch and I did this, we got about 400 shares. Now, that was about 10 times the number of shares Mitch had ever had on any of his posts before. And then when we replaced it with the offer, that got us a tremendous amount of exposure. And how much money did we make? We made about $10,000 on the nose. Interesting how that happened. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, that is part of the T part of PMCFT, traffic. You see, if you have a product and you have a message and you have commerce, that means a way to collect money. It could just simply be PayPal me some money, right? It can be very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. You have a way to fulfill the product and you have traffic, you can make money. That's all you need. But the problem is we get hung up on the complexities of these things. It's like, well, I need to go buy this software. I need to go do this. I need to go do that. No, man, make it as bare bones simple as possible. If you don't have 2 nickels to rub together, use the resources you have to make money. Now, what happens is the squelcher, my old friend, the great Win Wenger, says, he's the guy who wrote the book called The Einstein Factor. He has made a study of increasing human intelligence, his entire reason for existence. The squelcher is the part of your mind that shuts down all of the creativity. It's the part of the mind that says, oh, that's a dumb idea. You shouldn't do that. They'll laugh at you. It won't work. You'll be humiliated, right? You got to shut that part of your brain down. That's why most people aren't creative, because they keep punishing their creativity. Think about it. If every time you come up with a creative idea, you tell your mind that's a bad idea, it says, well, if you keep punishing me, I'm going to be like Pavlov's dog, and I'm not going to respond. This is pure Skinnerian, Pavlovian operant conditioning that you're doing to your mind. So instead, what you have to do is you have to say, you know what? I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to try. I'm going to respond to that creativity, and I'm going to reward the creative mechanism inside me by honoring it and seeing it through to completion and seeing what happens. And when you see it through to completion and you see what happens, sometimes it fails. Sometimes it totally fails. But sometimes it works, okay? So this is the simplest answer I can give you, Barry. And I went through a 6-week class with guys, showing them this formula and then reinforcing the ideas and then giving them more and more and more examples of how people did it. And I was asking them to complete what I call cash injection missions, which means come up with an answer for each of these 5 things, launch it out to people. That's a cash injection mission. Okay, and see what happens. Some of them will succeed, some of them will fail. The best teacher in life, well, the best teachers, I should say, are experience and pain. Experience and pain. Reward is a great teacher too, but we're addicted to the reward. If the only thing that we respond to is reward, then we get demoralized. But if we see the pain and the experience in the proper context, what we say instead is, hey, you know what? Every time something terrible happens, I see that as the universe telling me that I need to course correct. Thank you, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, for pushing me off in the right direction. Now, this is a sensibility that was taught by the Stoics thousands of years ago. It's been popularized by some of the neo-Stoics these days who are repopularizing Stoicism. And it's a Latin phrase called amor fati. I clearly am going to need a lot more chalk because I'm pressing down on this chalk so hard it's breaking. Amor fati, it means the love of fate. The love of fate. What that means in the Stoic lens is that if you love fate, if you love whatever happens to you, nothing bad can happen to you in life. Because if you can say even the horrible things, if the horrible things that happen to me are actually something good, if they're actually teachers, I want to be like, that's awesome. I don't know what I'm going to learn from this horrible event, but I'm going to figure it out. And it totally makes you bulletproof. Totally makes you bulletproof when you really bite down on this. But I'll tell you what, man, it is a tough pill to swallow because sometimes the pain is awful, right? So there you go, Barry. There's the short version of what you need to teach, in my estimation. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Going down to some more questions. Maru was a guy who was with me years ago in something called Kaching Tank that I ran in New Zealand many years ago, has remained a great dear friend of mine over the years. He says, Mark, bro, are you still carnivore and do you still add salt to your water? If you are still carnivore, can you please quickly riff on some science and or books / bodies of knowledge that all interested can delve into? Thank you, my bro. All right. Brother, you are welcome. Barry, you are welcome as well. So, Maru, so first off, about the water. I don't add any salt to my water anymore because I copiously salt my food. Now, I eat a clean salt. I eat like a Himalayan sea salt. Why do I do that? Because the theory behind that is that if you get just straight sea salt these days, our oceans are polluted. Our oceans are polluted. Okay, so if you get a Himalayan sea salt, that is from an old seabed, a seabed that dried up millions of years ago, long before we started polluting the oceans. So that salt has all kinds of minerals in it, and it doesn't have the pollution that modern sea salt would have in it. And it's not like the industrialized processed salt. Now, personally, I'm not afraid of salt. I believe that and I'm not a medical professional, so consult with your damn doctor on this stuff, but I don't believe, and from the research I have seen, I don't think that salt has a very significant impact on your blood pressure. I think that the minerals and the benefit that you get from eating Himalayan sea salt greatly outweighs any risk that you would have of increasing your blood pressure. You go down that rabbit hole on your own. Now, in terms of carnivore, yes, I am now almost a year straight of carnivore. Aside from a couple of cheats here and there, I had a couple of straight binges throughout there where I had some pizza and chips and bullshit like that. Regretted it greatly. Didn't like that at all. Had a couple variations where I had some cleaner carbs, where I had some fruit, some potatoes, some various things. None of it has been as good on my gut as going pure carnivore. Okay. Now I've also done some what I call carnivore cheats that I'm doing less now, because as I do it more and more, I'm starting to realize that getting as pure as possible is better for me, for my body, right? So what was a carnivore cheat? Well, eating some fancy cheese and salamis, stuff like that. Now, if I eat like a really, really properly made cheese, okay, one that was unpasteurized, that doesn't have the chemicals and crap in it like that, and if I eat a salami that was not cured with nitrates but cured naturally, I can do that and not have any negative effect. But if I'm eating any of the processed versions of those things, they don't seem to sit too well on my gut either. So what does my diet look like most of the time now? And by the way, guys, if somebody had told me years ago that I'd be not eating vegetables or fruit and just eating pure meat all the time, I would have said, you are out of your mind. That sounds like the stupidest thing possible. But for someone with a gut condition like me, or people who have various autoimmune conditions, there is a group, and this is getting into part of your answer here about the science, Maru, there's a group called Paleomedicina. I believe they're based out of Hungary. And they have been clinically treating people with various autoimmune conditions. That's all of the gut conditions like ulcerative colitis, IBS, Crohn's, all that stuff. And other autoimmune conditions like MS and rheumatoid arthritis and whatnot. They have been effectively treating these conditions with a carnivore diet. Another guy you can look into is Dr. Sean Baker. Any of the vegans watching this right now are going to hate me for bringing that guy up because they hate him and he has kind of a cantankerous relationship with the vegans. But he's amassing a great amount of data, and he's been showing a lot of new science that are showing that meat is not necessarily as bad as a lot of people have been telling us. In fact, it may even be very beneficial. Okay. So there are some rabbit holes for y'all to go down on your own. So Verge is here. Virginia is one of my old employees back in the old ESOP days. Absolutely brilliant woman. And she says, I'm glad you found a nutritional regimen that works for your gut and body. I am too, Verge. I didn't talk about it back then, but I had a gut condition back then in the ESOP days too, and I was just suffering with it back then. Over the years, I tried so many things. I went to the normal, what would you call them, allopathic doctors, right, who are going to prescribe you drugs, and what they do is they give you anti-inflammatory drugs that mask the symptoms and cause a whole other cascade effect of different problems in your body. So I don't think there's any doctor out there who will tell you that the medical community that's based in big pharma has any real answers for any of these conditions. What they have is they have some pseudo answers for the symptoms, but not any real answers for the causes. And the answers they do have for the symptoms are quite problematic in their own way. All right. So it's absolutely miraculous, in my opinion, that carnivory is something that has been working for so many people with these various conditions. Let's see. Okay. Barry said he's taking notes like mad. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, so Darius Tan says, hey, Mark, I've been on a quest to master the art of free traffic and push the boundaries of getting free leads on social media. So far, I'm doing pretty well on Instagram and Twitter. However, Facebook seems to be a pay-to-play game at the moment. What are some strategies that you think might work for Facebook? I'll tell you what, Darius. Well, first off, go subscribe to Mitch's feed, Mitch Miller's feed, and watch what he does. He does this all the time. He's posting offers all the time, and he's also engaging his audience very well on organic. And he doesn't use paid advertising on Facebook. He uses Facebook purely as an organic mechanism. But here's the thing. To be fair about this, I want to point a few things out. So first off, Mitch has been banned from Facebook now 7 times, right? Banned from Facebook 7 times. I know a lot of people who get banned on Facebook because they're behaving in a way that the Facebook gods deem is unacceptable. I know a lot of people who have had their ad accounts shut down by Facebook unceremoniously without any explanation. or justification given to them whatsoever. It's Orwellian and creepy stuff, man. I got to tell you, I'm not happy with the direction Silicon Valley is going these days with their mass censorship and the way that they're treating people. I think it's quite uncool, actually. So be very careful when you model what Mitch is doing. Be aware that he's also, he's being audacious and creating controversy. And there's a consequence to that. And that's part of his formula of what's working. But you don't have to be that controversial and audacious. You can probably do what he's doing and still get good effects without necessarily getting banned from Facebook. But here's the thing, man. I recommend, instead of all that stuff, something that I call integration marketing. There's a best-selling book that I wrote about that. It's in many, many languages. And I recently started something called Integration Marketing Society, where I am bringing people together to practice this. And the idea behind integration marketing, to put it simply, is that it is a method of making you independent of ad platforms, independent of any single source of traffic. And it's like the metaphor that I like to give is that, imagine you have a table and you got one leg on the table. Well, if somebody chops that leg off, you don't have a table anymore. You got a useless hunk of wood. But if you got a table with 4 legs, now it's a little bit more stable, right? If you have a table with 1,000 legs, you could chop off 100 of those legs and the table is still going to be standing. And all of these legs that I teach people how to build are all based on free traffic, but it's a different kind of free traffic. It's a different kind of free traffic. Now that's just a taste of what I'm going to give you. And Darius, if you want to see a webinar about that, message me and I will send you a link to the webinar that you can watch. I don't have the link handy right now. But anybody who's interested in that, go ahead and message me and I will give you the link to the webinar. Then at the end of the webinar, we ask people to submit an application to join Integration Marketing Society if you are interested in learning these methodologies. I recommend these methodologies over the free traffic stuff that you would see on like Facebook or SEO or whatever. Okay, I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm saying be aware of the consequences of those things. I'll give you another reason why this happens. Let's say you're using Facebook or YouTube purely organically. A great friend of mine, Eric von Sydow, if anybody here read the book The Game, he is the guy that was referred to in that book as Rasputin. He's also known as Hypnotica. He's been uploading wonderful videos for people in his niche, which is teaching young men how to be more successful with women, young shy men who don't have the ability to communicate with women. He's been uploading wonderful content on YouTube for 10 years. One morning he wakes up and his channel was shut down and they wouldn't even give him access to his videos. They wouldn't even give him access to his videos. They wouldn't even let him log in to download the content that he had uploaded. Now, thankfully, in his case, he had so many followers that they had all downloaded his stuff and made copies of it and gave him the stuff that he lost. But that is the problem that you face when you use any of these platforms, is that you are at the mercy of those platforms. And that's why I'm even telling the guys who are big into paid ads now that, like, look, you're playing with fire there too, because they can shut your ad account down, and if you can't get back up in time and the cash flow window happens to work out wrong, your business can fall apart in a night if you're basing your business on paid advertising. I know it's all the rage these days to talk about paid advertising, and some of my dear friends are teaching people that. But some of these guys are also the same people that I taught years ago when they were in Google AdSense. I said, look, you may be making a lot of money with Google AdSense right now, but the real asset that you need to build is your email list. Because your email list is this thing you have control over. Now, we don't have control over the inboxes. Yes, some email goes up and down in effectiveness as, for example, Gmail changes its algorithms. They might, filter your stuff to the spam folder. It's true, but it is more stable and more controllable than an ad platform, because with an ad platform, they can shut you down instantly. With email, they might be able to block you, but at least you have an asset, all right? If you combine that with integration marketing and you build your table with 1,000 legs, you've got something that will stand the test of time. This is why I've been in business for so long when I've seen so many businesses come and go. Now look, here's the thing. It is true that if you get into a very high level in your market and you can outspend your competitors with advertising, you can fend off problems by outspending your competitors. That's sort of like the brass ring that a lot of people reach for in business. But you are still prey to those potential problems. Now, the reason I brought up AdSense was that Russell Brunson was quite famous for making a lot of money with AdSense, but he tells this story about how I was telling him to build an email list, and this was way before Russell had been so enormously successful like he is now with ClickFunnels. And he says, well, I'm gonna, everything Mark has told me before has worked out well, so I'm gonna listen to what Mark said. And when the big Google slap happened and shut down all of those AdSense sites that were making a lot of people a lot of money, people were making like $100,000 a month in some cases, and then they were telling their wives and their families, hey, we've made it, we're rich now, start spending all this money, and then boom, overnight, it all vanished in thin air. They woke up to find that their cash cow had been slayed. Russell was quite happy that he had an email list to fall back on. Otherwise, it would have taken him out of the game. If Russell had not followed that advice, we probably would not see ClickFunnels as an entity today. Leo, it looks like Maru answered your question. It is product, message, commerce, fulfillment, and traffic. PMCFT, product, message, commerce, fulfillment, and traffic. That is all you need to make money. Doesn't have to be more complex than that. Virginia Dwan, Verge is her nickname at ESOP. I don't know if you still go by Verge. You're always Verge to me. It's always my little sister. All right, she says, you're at the mercy of whatever platform you're using, especially if they break or shut you down. Absolutely, yeah, breaking is another thing, right? Shutting you down is one thing, them falling apart and closing up shop is a whole other thing too. Email list is all yours. Definitely one of the top things I learned when at ESOP, right on. This is why Verge and her husband, super duper power team, both of whom worked at ESOP back in the day, are so successful today. Okay. All right, I think that is all the questions. Let's see, I'm scrolling through here to see if there are more. I love this platform because I'm getting questions from multiple platforms here simultaneously, which is fantastic. All right, I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I enjoyed this. Guys, let me know. Darius, you're quite welcome. Let me know if you guys want me to do this more often, what kind of stuff you want to see me post. I'll tell you flat out, I've been considering just getting off Facebook completely and getting off the major platforms completely. I've strongly considered it because I'm so tired of the shenanigans that they're playing with people. And I feel like if we keep playing their game, they're going to keep playing games with us. So any of the Facebook people watching, I'm not your enemy, guys. I'm the enemy of the way y'all been treating people, okay? When you're shutting down people's ad accounts without giving them any explanation, you are gaslighting people, Facebook. You're gaslighting people, and you're playing with people's livelihoods when you do this. If instead what you did was, instead of treating your advertisers as your adversaries and as bad people and saying, well, we're going to determine in the background that this person is a bad person and we don't want them on our platform, so we're just going to ghost them. If instead you simply tell them, hey, this is how we want you to behave on Facebook. These are the rules and guidelines. And I know you post those rules and guidelines up, but you can't expect everybody to understand the massive amount of information that you put out, especially when it's ambiguous. And when you shut ad accounts down Facebook and you don't tell them exactly why, or you don't tell them how they could change the ad and make it better, how do you expect these people to be able to change what they're doing? What you can expect is you can expect a backlash. My friends who work at Facebook, I hope you guys listen to this. I hope you do. Because I enjoy using Facebook as a platform. I do. But I don't enjoy watching them destroy people's lives. I don't enjoy watching them destroy people's livelihoods. I don't enjoy watching them gaslight people. I don't enjoy them pretend like they don't have a political agenda when they do. It's very clearly documented now. All of the Silicon Valley platforms do. Just admit it, guys. Just admit it. Either you're going to be a free speech platform or you're not. Don't pretend to be something that you're not. Okay? If you behaved honestly, people would be more friendly to you. Okay? I don't, right now I got to bug up my ass about Facebook because of the way that they're acting. I got to bug up my ass about all of these platforms in Silicon Valley because of the way they're behaving. But I'm also a forgiving guy. I'm willing to forgive these platforms if they can start treating people with common decency and courtesy. I think that if you're going to be a public square, you need to allow it to be a public square. Now, the advertising thing is a little bit different. Okay, yes, that's a thing that you're selling. And you can have your own rules, the things that you want to allow and things that you don't want to allow, that's fine. But when you have people who are trying to follow your rules, and you just shut them down without explaining to them precisely how they broke the rules, it's not cool. It's not cool. You're going to have a rebellion on your hands. And that's what you got on your hands now. You got a lot of people fighting back against this stuff. Okay, so Facebook, who do you want to be? Google, who do you want to be? And if you can't be honest about that, of course people are going to question your motives. Of course they are. If you think the world is too dumb to understand your motives or your intentions, and you should treat everybody like idiots, well, then people are going to be like, well, screw you guys. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Because you would do the same thing. If someone else acted like they were superior to you and didn't give you an explanation as to why they didn't want to, do X, Y, or Z with you, you would give up. You would give up on those people, wouldn't you? Doesn't it just make sense? So who do you want to be? If you want to be shady and you want to, have a hidden agenda, that's your free will to do that. But there are consequences to that too. That would be my answer to y'all. Okay. Darius says, thank you for the advice. I really appreciate your insights. I do agree. Building a list number. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you for that. And Verge is still call her Verge. You're always going to be Verge. All right. Beautiful. All right, guys. That is it for today. And I look forward to any comments on this after the live, to what y'all thought about this and what you guys want to see from me more in the future, because I want to listen to the audience and hear what you guys want to talk about. I speak on many things, and I want to give the audience what it wants, as long as it's something I think is good for everybody. All right, you guys have a beautiful day.